of the periodic calendar or the periodic table. I think everybody who has a child going to school, it is possible to get them to memorize the periodic table. It would come in good stead if they did that. I'd also say get them to learn how to play chess. That's a side note, you know what I mean? You don't have to, but get them to learn to play chess. Take them to a chess club. Find out if the school got a chess club. Let them do it. Give them some real meaningful understanding, because the memory is something that you need to. It's without it, you got Alzheimer's. You don't want to self-lobotomize yourself. There's a lot of potential that you actually have that you don't know that you have. You think you're operating on your optimum when you are not. The majority of you listening to me think you're operating on your optimum and you are not. It's other stresses that got you where you are. It's other things that you brought into yourself that compound who you are. Do you know what I mean? Bit like a bank robber. Well, we're after you because you robbed the bank, but now you're firing shots. That's another charge. Now you're hitting an innocent person in your fleeing and firing a shot. That's another charge. You fired again, you shot an officer. Do you see how you can bring it on yourself without realizing how much damage you're doing to yourself? I could give you so many different scenarios. Please use your own thought to say, I get it, to you. So, why am I talking about the high sciences in view of the United Kingdom and Brexit? If you're in America, when this was going down, you were not invented. So, the fact that I got this flag here, if you think I'll dismiss it, more fool you. It's difficult to do, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do all of this. And if I don't get to do it all, I probably won't do it at all, and I will give you good compensation for the hour that we are here. But be that as it may, we are talking about high science and what I regard as high science. I regard physics and chemistry as high sciences. Why? Because they can do things that will wow you once you get the explanation. A bit like a conjurer. Or, you know, if I did a card trick right now, you won't know why. If I did the old, you know, there's a card, and in front of your face, you will have the king of clubs, and then it's the ace. I learned that one. I'll do it. I'll do it. You know what I mean? It's nice things to do when you're doing voluntary work for children in a children's school, and you can do a few tricks, because they're like, wow, you know, 7, 8, they're like, wow, you know what I mean? You get somebody, you know, older, you have to upgrade your skills in that department, but it's always good to entertain children. But be that as it may, why high sciences? Because the high sciences is what rules this world. And if you can get control of this world, you can deploy the high sciences to your own mechanisms, whatever those mechanisms are. Unfortunately, we are under the duress of the mechanisms. And you have to, there's two things you kind of have to think about. Is the Bible real? Where did that come from? The Bible. Why are you talking about Bible? Why are you coming up with a Christian perspective? I will say this. The Bible's not here. And for this next 5 minutes, listen to what I'm saying. and take what you will with it. You can dismiss it if you want to, you know. This is not about being your friend. I'm not here to try to be your friend. I'm not here trying to bully you into anything. I will ask you to subscribe to my channel, but biblically speaking, and the reason why I'm using the Bible for the backdrop to what I'm talking about is because we're living in a time where the Bible is under attack, and Christians are under attack. The persecution is there, but it's not in the terms of lynching people. In some countries, they actually are. They actually are. But it's not happening in Europe. It's not going to, I don't think. But, be that as it may, I'm not a Christian. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You said you're a Christian. I didn't say I was. You made that up in your mind. Do you see how high science works? It's that simple. You took it on, you came to your own conclusion, and you are wrong. And if I challenged you and said, bet your life on it, you'd throw your life away. Especially in America, they do that every day. They're like, throw them. In fact, the worst prison in America, they would volunteer to serve the rest of their natural born lives in it because that guy said something they don't like, or they don't understand, or what they perceive to be an offense, an insult. I can't save you. I can only spread the gospel to those who are amenable to hear. I've heard. This is my way. Let me hear your side. And good Muslims will resort or refer to Surah 109, me to my religion and you to yours. There is no compulsion to support you know what I mean? Anybody who says you must is not even, you know what I mean? This is the cultural egotism that goes on. So let me get to the point, because I think I've waffled enough. I live in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is in Europe. The United Kingdom is a collection of 4 countries. England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. And then you've got Southern Ireland, which is attached to Northern Ireland, just off the coast of England, on the west side. You know what I mean? But that's where it is. So it's a region. I'm an and ahhing because I've done this video about the coronation, what it means and what Brexit means. But let me just give you an understanding, and I'm going to put you back to mid-15s, early 1500s. There's a guy named Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a monk, and of course, in Europe at the time, the sole religion was Catholic. Means Roman Universal Catholic. That's not Christianity, okay? It's not Christianity any more than a Chevy is a Rolls Royce. Yeah, they both got wheels. You know what I mean? They're 4 doors, luxury model, whatever. They're not one in each. The point I'm making here is Martin Luther fell out with Catholicism because the highest order of Catholicism were not following the doctrines of Christ or the Messiah. And they'd managed to invent dogma and ritual which has nothing to do with a connection to the greater creator. That is part of what I call a physical trinity. A physical trinity. In that out of that challenge and his publishing, I don't really like to repeat myself, but some people will not check out what I've got to say. Be that as it may. So, at this moment, is there a need to really go full court on it, with the presentation? But it doesn't really matter. I hope that people do listen to what I'm saying at this moment in time and think they can get something from it. So anyway, the 95 thesis he hammered on the Wittenberg church door. So there's lots of pieces of paper. Bang, bang, bang. I said Wittenberg. I'll tell you what name it is, isn't it? That was the beginning. It was an opening. It offset the authority of the time. Many people thought, I'm only one person, what could I do? What could I do? Yeah. Roman University, well, it took one man to find it. And the only reason why that one man got it, if I told you before, I'll tell you again, is because this argument about the interpretation of Christ's life and what he laid out for us and to expect was argued long before Martin Luther, okay? From as early as the 12th century, can't remember the fella, but he was burnt at the stake. Jan Hus was the middle of the 15th century, a Czechoslovakian monk. He was burnt at the stake. Martin Luther, they couldn't get hold of. He would have been burnt at the stake. And the Lord works, the Creator works in mysterious ways. He invented the internet of the time. I've used that in my essay until one professor says, stop repeating yourself. Fair enough, catchy. It was the internet of the time, which was the Gutenberg press. So therefore, you can speak out and it wouldn't be just in one place where they could shut it down. It went viral. That was it, right? And that opens the door to everything. If you curtail people's freedom of speech, I can tell you, you stymie expression. And expression could be in scientific inventions. I use the word scientific, but, engineering, biomedical, you stymie the greater good of those who are trying to do better for humanity, which is, I would argue, your journey in this life anyway. So, what has that to do with Brexit? Well, let's go on, because you need to understand why certain people believe in an authority outside of a country which they've got all the amenities, but they will throw that away to sign up with somebody else that's upfront said you're not going to have your own freedom. There are arguments about this country, the UK, being racist, still suffering from the imperial mindset. Go forth and conquer everybody else because they're savages or the noble savages. It doesn't matter which way, right? They justify murdering people en masse, drone strikes, etc. Where am I going with this? Well, as I put in my essay, England was born anew under that Industrial Revolution, which was a science, as engineering, which was only possible when the authority were challenged and they had to take a step back. And in that step back, people stepped forward. People, right? So, Roman Universal was the dogma of the day. God did it. He done everything. You can't speak outside of that. You're a heretic. If you get called a heretic on a serious one, you get burnt at the stake. That's Steinman's thinking. Because in order to make something, you have to make mistake and error. And if you're writing something, you can write something which is an error. Do you hang them for that? No, you give them a chance to retract the statement and to give context to why they were there in the first place, if you're going to be fair. So, the physical trinity is one. The Reformation. And the Reformation regards the reforming of the Roman Catholic Church, whereby you have the Church of England. Now, he wears pretty much the same silly long hat, you know what I mean? Except he doesn't do what the Pope does. And it's not, you know, like the Quakers, it ought not to be decorated with fine bone china and gold gilded and all the rest of it and stained glass windows. Why do you need that? Whereas it's scripture that you need that, you don't need that. So I can see what the Quakers and their ministry is. Not to the max, but I get a bit of an idea. And what's that got to do? Yeah, I hear you cry. What's that you holding in your hand? Yeah, man. So you have to understand that you've got the physical trinity. So let's recap on that. You've got Martin Luther has just challenged the church and he said something. He would have been captured and killed, but it went further than him. It's an internet viral sensation we've got that's hitting everywhere. The Gutenberg press prints out. I got my copy. Yeah, I got my copy. What did you say? You could have that. I got my copy. Even if you don't have money, it's 3 loaves of bread. I got my copy. Let me read it. Why? Let me read and understand. And that's how it went. So when you give people freedom, you have creation. You have engineering. You've got all these things. You've got the public intellectual is born. At that point, you have people who will speak about things and quantify or calculate or pontificate on certain issues. And they will examine everything scientifically because we also, in this physical trinity, which consists of the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, that's weird. I think that's the alcohol. The Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and I will give you that in a minute. Oh, sorry. It's the Reformation, the Industrial Revolution, and the Enlightenment. So, let me put that into the right order. The challenge against the Roman Universal is the Reformation. That's understanding that, hold on a minute, it's not in the Bible what you're doing. You're at the highest level in Rome, Pope, whatever, the papal, but where's the scripture? Show me. Answer my questions. Out of that schema, and they become a new understanding of the word of Christ. But what that does, once, for argument's sake, Henry VIII in the UK said, well, you know, up yours, you know what I mean? I'm not following your doctrine. There's a girl here, she's very intelligent. I actually want to give her a bonking, you know what I mean? She's really offering a good argument, and I can't beat the argument. It happened. Can't beat the argument. It makes sense to me. And so I'm going to wed this lady off. That's what I'm going to say. And we are a Christian nation from now on. Hopefully, with that moniker of a Christian nation, we can be better citizens, and we can get down to that, and we will get down to that. So the Reformation starts first. You have to be free to critique, and critique they did. But what it ultimately does, for those who feel free and enlightened, as you should feel, that we've got a second enlightenment now, is to think about your field of expertise and how you can get it to be expressed. My field of expertise might be education and educating you guys. I don't know. I'm not cracking jokes, so I'm not sure that you find me funny. It's not that kind of day to day for me. I just feel a bit down, but that's not the point. The point is job to do, and I believe in it. So you've got ideas and things that might go against the conventional Catholic doctrine as heresy, and inviting in bad spirits by creating and inventing and so forth. It's no wonder shortly after, I would argue, shortly after the Reformation, we have the Industrial Revolution. And that's crucial to understanding where we are and what people think. The problem is a lot of people think a lot about things, and they put out a lot about what they think. And in turn, people are encouraged to rehearse somebody else's thinking, accept it as the truth, and express your ideology. From that point, he's dead. So you got to express your ideology or your solution to anything by reading Michael Foucault and believing what he said was true. So if what he said is true, then it's a good thing, yada 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 yada, and you get your certificate approved of in your university. It's so far from the truth, right? A lot of people who get degrees and well celebrated, it's not because of anything else, but they have well, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think you know where I'm going. So you've got the Reformation, the Enlightenment, and the Industrial Revolution. They all go, we're talking about a period of 300 years. I mean, nothing happens overnight, you know. There's got to be work put in. So you've got the physical trinity, as I call it, that's happened in a short space of time, and it is a short space of time, but a couple of 100 years maybe, right? Where we use the scientific method. That would be Novus Organus. I think it's Novus Organus, which is Sir Francis Bacon's book and his critique on science and so forth, or those who were professing science. He gives a salient warning in that book, but that book is in my other room. So I'm talking about understanding where you are in this world. Don't just react and say you know where you are, because you don't. If you're alive today and you're listening to this and you're saying, oh no, I'm telling you, you don't. You have an argument. You're being given an argument. It's not really the argument. Sometimes. But let me give you my narrative of history regarding this Trinity. The upshot of the Trinity is that there became a new society. I call it a new baby. It was like a new baby, all right? And that baby makes mistakes when they become toddler. They fall down, and you see them stand up and drop back down. They're padded in their nappies. They use instruments to hold themselves up. You know, they may hang on to something so they can stand up and stretch their legs and all the rest of it. And that's exactly what happened in the UK. Now, first of all, someone's going to say, boy, oh yeah, go on, wait a minute. That's like you lick them butty and think, hey, I am a son of the soil, I was born here. My point to you is, name a country. You can name a region if you want to, but name a country whereby there was no sin, no wickedness unto one another, no evil intentions. Find that country. Because I can tell you, as a country, Germany did not exist when if you talk about mid-1600s, 16th century, pardon me, John Locke's 1600s, but we're talking about the 1700s, and I would say the Industrial Revolution began around about 1750s, right? I would call it 1750s, fair dues, right? Is that true? Am I talking out of my hat? It hit its high water mark in the 1750s, in the UK that is. They made millions. What can I say about the United States? The United States was still fighting for meaning, and meaning has to have some components that the left don't like. That it has to have an absolute truth. It just so happens when you bring the absolute truth to fearful people who are in control of revenue and media, etc., they don't want to give you that opportunity to speak that which they have no concept of or have dismissed that has real, true meaning. And I'm hoping that you understand what real, true meaning is. The point of all this is, even with Henry VIII declaring that he was the defender of the faith, and therefore England becomes a Protestant nation. We protest against Rome, right? And their ideology, okay? We're Protestants, if you will, right? And they come in all shapes and sizes. I don't play the race card because I'm not interested in the race card. And, I've been single for long enough. I need a mate. God don't put a man on this earth not to have a mate, right? And that's how it goes. I can't tell people what to do in that personal space. And those who profess to, I don't know why. I don't call myself a Hebrew Israelite, but I do sympathize with a lot of their points. The factions don't seem to, you know what I mean? And when you've got that kind of nonsense going on, different interpretations, the human hermeneutics and so forth, I leave them to it, because you got to be a bit of a scholar yourself to know it's a rabbit hole. If it's a rabbit hole, you must know to get out of the rabbit hole. So with all these pages, I have spoken about what? I'm trying to get to the point of the physical trinity, the Reformation, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution. You have to understand, if you're from Africa, if you're African American, you have to understand the Industrial Revolution on a big scale. You have to understand there was a lot of textile mills built in the UK. They wanted cotton, but they also had a glut of cotton. I read from another historian. I'm going to tell you now what got me to the position of being a repeater and an asshole and ignoramus. Is the acknowledgement that the powers that be that control don't have a better brain than I. And they are prone to making mistakes. One of the mistakes was 9/11. I'm not going into that detail, but they made that mistake. If you've got all the money in the world, all the psychologists to hand, you ought not to have made a mistake. You ought not to have smoked your own supply and then on the rash say go do this and do that, or act activate. But I think my awakening came in 2001, but it seems like I'm about to move away from. My awakening to question things came around about when 9/11 happened. I saw what I saw. I'm being told different, right? I'm reading the information and I'm thinking to myself, wow. And all we get is, a bogus charge for just asking questions.